Pauline Hanson is Senator for Queensland and leader of Pauline Hanson's One Nation. She's on the line. Good morning, Pauline.
Good morning, Mike.
I was just interested in your reactions to some of the statements that have been made by the Prime Minister overseas and his reaction to what seems to be, let's start in the UK, very much a swing to the right with what's happening with the Reform Party and Nigel Farage. Now, it seems to me that the Prime Minister wants to spin the situation with Farage, for example, not by addressing the issues that he is clearly succeeding on, but by trying to call them by another name and say, oh, it's divisive populism. What do you say?
Well, I think he's in denial because what's happening in the UK is clearly happening here in Australia. And, you know, to try and put it down and just disregard it and say, oh, that's populist. It's populist because the people are agreeing with it. That's what the public want. They want to have their say about the real issues that are concerning them. Both the Liberal and Labor that I've found have just taken for granted for too long that it's the two-party system in Australia. People are branching out from that. They're not aligned to the major political parties anymore like they used to. By the Prime Minister not recognising Nigel Farage, who could possibly be the next Prime Minister of the UK, I think it was a bit arrogant of him to actually do that and not have a meeting with him. The same as he denigrated, Donald Trump with his comments in the past, but here Donald Trump is the President of the United States. So it's disappointing to see that.
Well, you know, over the years, I've felt that no matter what you think about particular politicians from any party and their policies, one thing they can do is look at the numbers. And really, he's not looking at the numbers with Farage, is he? If an election were held tomorrow, Farage would hold 373 seats, and the next biggest party would be 90.
Correct. And that's exactly what's happening. But see, they don't want to acknowledge that. See, the both of them are in denial, and that's where Albanese is. And he's not looking at the real issues that are dealing with each of their countries. So it's going to be telling in the next election that happens, although it's another 4 years before it happens in the UK. But here in Queensland, I've just done a big tour of Queensland for 3 days on the road. And I tell you what, there is so much hatred out there towards Albanese, the Labor Party. They didn't talk about the Labor Party, they talk about Albanese. And they keep saying to me, how can we get rid of him? Can you do something with the Governor-General? Can we get a petition together? They really want to see him gone. They've got no time for him whatsoever. But the problem is that people don't know about the preference system and how it works. So people have been dumbed down over the years and don't understand how their preferences work. So that's the big issue that I have to deal with before the next election.
But what you're describing there, I get a lot of correspondence along those lines. What can be done to get rid of Anthony Albanese and, you know, by association, the government, I guess. But there really isn't any machinery for that, is there?
No, there isn't, because he's not going to get supply blocked because he's got the numbers in the lower house and he's actually got the Greens and the Labor Party backing him in the Senate. So they can't block supply to him. You can't go to the Governor-General and say, well, I don't like him now. There's no reason to actually get rid of him.
Yeah.
So at this stage, you can't get rid of him unless, the majority of the Parliament says we can't keep funding you because of the cost of the country and that type of thing. Unless they block it, block supply, that's the only reason. Or if he doesn't get one piece of legislation through 3 times through the Senate, he put it through to the Senate. If that gets blocked, then he can then call for a double dissolution.
In the meantime, the polling looks good for One Nation, but I notice in a release from One Nation, the advice is, OK, it's good, but be cautious. It's only polling. It doesn't necessarily mean that much. What do you say?
Correct. You don't count your chickens before they hatch. These polling, actually, it's about 1,200, 1,500 people. I think one polling was about 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's an indication. I don't rely on that. What I have been picking up, Mike, is travelling around. There is a lot of support for One Nation, especially I went to CPAC last weekend or the weekend before. Huge support coming across to us from CPAC, but also it's coming across in membership. We've had a huge influx of people joining to become members of One Nation. And also to tell you, at Tamworth now, at a meeting there, the National Party meeting, 10 of the members just got up and walked out. They're now coming across to One Nation. And I had at CPAC a former vice president of the Liberal Party said, I've had enough of the Liberal Party, I'm coming across to One Nation. So they're actually moving across to One Nation. There is a lot of those people disgruntled with the coalition government. The National Party or the Liberals have had a gutful of them, fed up with them. They're sick and tired of the wokeness, the mass immigration, which is they've got to take responsibility for as well. Also, the net zero climate change policies and the increasing crime that we have across the country.
Mm. Now, you're a film producer these days. We can expect. Please explain. When's that? January next year, isn't it?
January. We're hoping to release on January 26th, Australia Day. We've had huge success with our cartoons. We've had it going for 3 years. Not this year. We haven't put any out this year. They've been working on a movie. So we've actually had over 100 episodes, 50 million views plus of our cartoons. So now they're working on a movie. That's a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
We're hoping to release in cinemas, plus also on Netflix, if we can get it across on Netflix. But, so January next year. So I'm constantly asked about my cartoons. The cartoons, people love them, absolutely love them.
Well, I think they're very good, but also there's such a history of cartooning in Australia. And my theory on why, in my opinion, we produce the best cartoonists in the English-speaking world, I'm talking particularly about current affairs and politics, is that despite the talk about free speech, we don't have totally free speech here. So a cartoonist has to be a little bit oblique. So you look at the cartoon and go, aha, I know what they meant by that. And it seems to be more funny and cunning to me the way they do the cartoons. Whereas in the US, okay, they have their cartoons, but they got total free speech. And it seems to me that they're more blunt and obvious with their cartoons, and therefore not as they don't draw you in the way ours do.
Well, I think so. I think the cartoons being well received by the public. We put them out basically to attract those of 18 to 35 to get interest in politics. But there's no age limit on it now. People from all ages actually love the cartoons. They're also satirical, but they also put a point across. So it makes people think, oh, my God, I didn't realise that. You talk about death duties, or you talk about, even the woke agenda or the climate change, and just money keeps going into the furnace all the time. Or China, the impact it has on our politics here in Australia. So they are a message in each one, and I think it's quite interesting. And all the characters are the politicians, so people relate to these politicians. They love that one where Lydia Thorpe was run over by the bus and I was the bus driver. So they love that one the most, I think.
Well, we look forward to the big release.
I shouldn't say that. That sounds real good. But anyway, it's just the feedback that I got from it.
Okay, so you're going to have a big opening night, red carpets and things?
Yeah, look, we're working on that and how we're actually going to release it on Australia Day. But I can't give you an exclusive on everything, Mike, what's going to happen.
All right, Pauline. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Bye.